Hey, I have put this out. This is something I made a couple days ago for something new to look at while I talk about my design team entry for the SNL design team. Um, I have a process video that will follow this, and I just thought it would be nice to be a part of this design team because I've been following them for a year, and they really taught me what it was to do a process video. I had just barely learned about them last year whenever they were doing their design team um, process, and I threw something in really quick, but I didn't even know what I was doing in terms of how to make a layout process video the way that it's done on YouTube. I've always done mini books and different things, so I have been a scrapbooker for a long time, but I just hadn't done a layout process video. I've been doing videos for a long time, but they're just about different things, like how to use Pearl X, which obviously I used a bunch of Pearl X on this. So this will be a layout that probably isn't my very best work, but I have been so sick for the last 2 weeks. Oh my gosh. And you can probably hear in my voice that I'm still pretty sick. And so it isn't necessarily my very best work and my voice is really bad, but it is definitely a process video that represents some of the things I do when I scrapbook. Just to let you know, I am a diverse crafter. I do cards, mixed media, some altered objects, and I'm really starting to get into art journaling a bit, and I bring all of that into my scrapbooking. I'm also a quilter, and I use fabric in my scrapbooks sometimes, and I keep thinking of ways that I can incorporate that even more. So I hope you enjoy the process video that I've created for you. Hey everybody, this is some Brilliance Moonlight ink, and I'm going to use it through this stencil that I cut on my silhouette recently. I learned from another YouTuber that you can buy stencil material from Hobby Lobby and make your own stencils with your silhouette, and I've been going crazy with that. This Brilliance ink adds a real kind of soft, chalky appearance, and it has a slight sheen. And that's just some black cardstock that I've done that on. The paper collection that I'm using for this particular layout is the Hello Love paper collection by Crepe Paper. Excuse me. And that's like a polka dot with and randomly some of the little polka dots have little pink hearts instead. And this is the photo I'm going to use. It's an old photo that I've needed to get scrapbooked. It was just among my things I found when I was moving, and I found a number of old photos that have just been laying around waiting to be scrapbooked, so that's definitely something that I've been trying to deal with lately. And I'm just layering that up on paper from the Crepe Paper collection using the ATG gun. That's a picture of my niece and nephew when they were a lot younger. She's in high school now. So I've gathered up a number of objects that I might use for embellishments. There's some chipboard that I've embossed on with a glittery pink embossing powder. There's some cut aparts from the paper line, a tag that I stamped on, and I've got that glaze pen from Sakura. I love those glaze pens. They're so shiny and fun. And I'm just going to do some pen work on some of these embellishments while I think about where I want to place them all. I've got obviously some baker's twine there, some pink and white baker's twine. I don't end up using that. And that little circle has a stamp from Stampin' Up! On it. And it's stamped in black cherry, I believe. Black cherry stays on ink. And that particular stamp that's on that card is an old club scrap stamp. A lot of the materials that you see in here, other than the paper line, a lot of these things came out of my stash. They're things that are really, really old, like that black flower that doesn't make it on the layout. That's actually like a food container that I cleaned up and I cut the bottom out with my Tim Holtz die, the Tattered Florals die. And it's got a really cool texture, but I don't end up using it. So I'm just struggling with these embellishments where I want to put them. Usually I have more of an idea, but with this particular layout, I really just had to move it around and move it around and move it around until I was happy, and it took me quite a while to figure it out. So that's what I'm doing. Place and move, place and move. It kind of drives me crazy to watch it, and I know this is how a lot of scrapbookers work, but I tend to be more like planful. That's usually how I work, and so the fact that this is causing me to have to move it around so much is driving me nuts. So I'm starting to get it's starting to come together, and I pull out this old alphabet. This was from Club Scrap. I was a Club Scrap member for a lot of years, like 3 or 4 years, and I have so much stuff from them, so much stuff. And I just thought, I've got to use this stuff. So I pulled that out of my stash, and I'm using it on this layout because I thought those white and black letters looked nice on there, fit with the theme. And I'm just spelling out the kiddos that are in the pictures. You know, when we make these layouts, we have to think about who the audience is. And since this is, you know, they're primarily made for my children, and their children, it's, you know, they're not necessarily going to recognize their cousins from years and years ago. So it's important that the emphasis be on who the heck is in this picture. That's why I chose to do that. I could have put siblings or something, but I just decided to put the names of the kiddos that were in there. Okay, so this tag that I'm working with is part of a cut apart from Club Scrap, and I've written the date that the picture was taken and the ages of the children on it, and I'm working on this bottom cluster now. And that heart is part of the paper line, and I just love, love, love that heart. It's so pretty. And that's the embossed heart. I'm adding the baker's twine, the black baker's twine, because I thought it would go well with this particular line. And I add like 4, so it's almost like tassel-y. And I like that look. And I'm going to go ahead and commit. Yay! And now I'm going to use that. I decided I want to use that baker's twine in all 3 clusters because I want it to be sort of something that ties the layout together. And I felt like that little circle was getting lost, so I do some pen work around the outside to kind of help it to kind of show up. So I'm going to go ahead and glue down this cluster finally. This cluster that took me so long to decide how I was going to make it. And that's that little XO banner is part of the paper line. And even though it's kind of Valentine's themey, I think it works with family as well. And I really like it. So I'm going to use some foam tape to pop up that little circle and put it there. And then my flower, my doodled on flower. And I wanted, you know, see, I'm going to make a little bow out of that baker's twine to put up there in the top left corner so that it will match the rest of the other 2 clusters, or it will have that sort of piece that ties them together and makes them similar. So there we go. I'm getting that little bow made, and I'm going to glue it right there on that heart. It's kind of sweet and simple. I like little sweet, simple touches like that. This layout's pretty typical of my style. It seems really clean, and yet there's a lot of detail. Like all of the doodling on that flower, if you were to look close up at the layout, there's so much detail. I usually spend a lot of time doing something that looks clean and simple. It's sort of the way I go about things. I decided to add enamel dots to the bottom side of that tag to give them a little interest. I'm just writing and between the two names. Oh, yes. And these very old brads that are giant punctuation, I found those in my stash as well. I think I had those since like 2005. They've been around forever. And the only thing I have is sort of it's like a bracket, I don't know, an arrow. So I use it like an arrow. Use up the stuff you have. That's the theme. All right. So now it's done. And here's the close-ups. Thanks and have a great day.